Hello and welcome to the MCQ Finals here in Szczecin at PAP9 Open 9, brought to you by Ultimate Guard, Card Market, MTG Spot, Okidoki Dice, Hrum.pl, Hobbity.eu, Świat Kawy i Herbaty, SPC Gear and Psychotalk.pl. We are going to see the final match between Marcin Staciwa and Maciej Dolata, two powerful planeswalkers.
The Gruul mirror match.
It's a Gruul mirror match, yes.
Actually, it's not much of a mirror match because the deck lists vary somewhat wildly.
Yes, they both took completely different approaches. Maciej is all about big monsters powering Galta and other threats.
Maciej runs a full set of Nullhide Ferox, 2 copies of God Eternal Ronas that he put into some good use during the last game that we have seen him playing, 2 copies of Galta, some other beefy boys like Steel Leaf Champion. On the other hand, Marcin is more about those cheaper, leaner, tokeny type stuff. Siege Gang Commanders, Legion Warboss, Mourn, Burn Spells and less big creatures. Notably, neither player is running any flyers. No Reckoning Phoenix main deck or sideboard for neither one of the players. No Skargan Hellkite, so there's no flyers. All the fight is going to take place on the ground. That means that inherently I would guess that the player with a bigger deck is going to be a favorite one in this matchup. Although Marcin has the advantage of being on the play, given that he was the higher seed. So it's going to be interesting to see how it unravels.
It is. You can see just behind the players there are lots of boxes of War of the Spark. The winner gets 144 booster packs, the runner-up 180. But most importantly, one of these two gentlemen, the winner, is going to get the invitation to Mythic Championship in Barcelona. End of July. Format is modern, about to be shaken up by Modern Horizons.
Both players are no strangers to the Mythic Championship / the Pro Tour back in the past. Marcin Staciwa had played quite a few. Was playing on the tour for a long while. Maciej Dolata only played one, but the most recent one in London, he qualified by winning a RPTQ also here in Szczecin a few months ago.
Back then there were 4 invitations to give out at the RPTQ. You only had to make top 4. Here you have to go all the way. You have to win this tournament, and there were 133 players to beat.
But how many Gruul players?
How many Gruul players? I can tell you how many Gruul players. 8.
It's a decent conversion rate then.
It is. And I can tell you that one of the other Gruul players that I know of went 6-2 as well. So Gruul deck seems to be pretty strong, so if you're looking for something to grind the ladder with on MTGA, this might be worth trying. We will publish the deck lists after we are done here, after we pack everything up.
This is interesting though, how much disagreement is about what is the perfect way to build those decks and what's the perfect way to approach the metagame with those, because all the players are choosing different approaches.
Of course, a best of 3 set is not going to tell us a lot about that, but it can give us an idea of what the decks are going to accomplish.
A strong handshake before starting the game. Both players examining their opening 7s. I cannot see them, so I'm just going to say some things to fill the void. You know, like some filler talk. So I'm not sitting here silently while they decide whether to keep their hands or not.
It is a tough decision for Marcin. You can see that he is really mulling over it.
Yeah, Maciej already put his hand down as if he already has made his decision, just waiting for Marcin to announce his, because, well, Marcin is the one that is obligated to decide first.
Doesn't look too happy.
Does not. I wonder what hand of 7 cards could face so much internal anguish and almost physical pain, looking from his face expression. We'll won't learn because
we won't see it.
Camera placement does not allow us to examine those closely.
So we are going to shuffle up, mulligan to 6.
Maciej probably kept his hand.
Seems like it. This is still the Vancouver mulligan, so Marcin will go to 6 and scry 1. We still don't know whether the London mulligan is going to stay as a main rule in Magic, if it will be accepted.
Yeah, at first I actually liked the London mulligan rule, but after playing with it a little bit more and after hearing what other people had to say about it, I realized that I'm not as big of a fan of it as I have thought at first.
Why is that?
And that is because, at least in Modern, which was the format that we used to test it in, it tends to homogenize gameplay. Like from the beginning, I thought that the claims about the lack of balance that it is supposed to introduce into the games are overstated, and I didn't think that actually was happening especially to an extent that some of the doomsayers were claiming it to be. As in, decks like Dredge don't really overperform at the Mythic Championship. Tron had kinda medium win rates. All that kind of jazz, but what it does, it actually takes away some of the most interesting parts of the game, where you are trying to squabble together a game plan on imperfect resources. It overall made the hands of players much better, or like hyper focused. So there was less crappy games, which, at least for me, tend to provide the best experience in the game.
Alright, that is interesting. That is an interesting take.
So yeah, overall, like, the games ended up being a little bit too repetitive for my tastes. I'm talking about things like, for example, I played Were Prison at the last Mythic Championship at London. And every time I mulliganed, I was able to put the second copy of Word of Invention back into my deck, changing my potentially clunky 6-card hand that would give my Eldrazi and Taxis opponent an actual chance to win, into a pretty lean one that didn't really have a fail rate. And it ended up with me like winning in kind of a boring way, instead of being it being like more tense. Having to deal with some things, and like giving chance for more types of games to actually shine.
Marcin, meanwhile, is taking a mulligan to 5.
Pretty grim proposition on the play, since if Marcin mulligans to 5, then card advantage is going to matter, because it's going to be hard to capitalize on this tempo advantage that he has available, which means that in turn Maciej should be advantaged, given that his creatures are on average bigger. Siege Gun Commander is tricky and all, but it kinda pales when it is facing a Steel Leaf champion.
Okay, one time. Give me a good hand.
Well, at 5 you keep most hands, since like
Yes.
with Vancouver Mulligan moving to 4 it's very rarely going to yield a better one. He gets to start with a Gruul Guildgate, so at least he lines up the perfect land. No Llanowells for Maciej either.
There is a turn to play in Grove Chamber Guardian, so
Yeah, Grove Chamber Guardian is the perfect threat to play on a 5-card hand, because it actually allows you to replenish your hand quite a bit, and you can regain some of the lost card advantage from the Mulligan.
and the Thorn Lieutenant, an answer from Maciej. So now the Grove Chamber Guardian cannot safely attack without adapting. And does Maciej have a land to do that? He does.
He does have a Stomping Ground.
So he will take 2 damage, and let's see if he smashes. Of course he smashes, he's Gruul. Maciej sees that he wanted to adapt, so doesn't block, doesn't sacrifice his creature for nothing.
Yep.
And the follow-up play, a Gruul Spellbreaker, a 4/4. This one can actually square up to the Steel Leaf champion.
It is true. Maciej has his own too much. Marcin's creature, so
Lightning Strike, not the perfect answer to any of
yeah, neither one of those
threats.
creatures. I think what we are about to see is going to be board stall.
Seems like it.
Maciej also has access to Grove Chamber Guardians in his deck, so as soon as he draws one, he's not going to like fall behind to just those. Because, well, the difference of 4 extra 4/4s on the battlefield over time can add up and be kind of huge. Because combined they are actually bigger than a Galta. But you know, in a board stall it's really hard to brawl with Galta. There's no chum blocking, there's no real trading.
I think life totals are inaccurate. Maciej should be at 18.
That is true. He took a hit from the Grove Chamber Guardian last turn. Now I can try to time walk Marcin by blocking with the Gruul Spellbreaker. Trading the 4/4s.
Just takes the damage, goes to 16.
Yeah, that allows Marcin to spend his mana differently, like by playing the Domri.
And Domri will add mana and play a Llanowar Elf. Okay.
Sure.
A Pelt Collector in Maciej's hand.
Pelt Collector has potential to
Yeah,
grow to kind of a huge size. over the
since
game.
it also gets counters when stuff bigger than this dies, so...
Yep. Does Maciej have a follow-up? I kind of find it hard to believe that his only card is a Pet Collector. Another interesting card for Maciej in a board stall type situation, if that's going to happen, is Eternal Ronas, because this one provides all of the creatures with vigilance and doubles their power. Works really well with Steel Leaf Champion, works really well with with Galta.
Alright. So, something fishy is going on. Maciej is offering a trade, let's say, of Gruul Spellbreakers in exchange for attack on Domri, but there has to be something. I mean... There's not. Okay, so they just trade the Spellbreakers.
I mean, trading the Spellbreakers is fine. The attack with the Lieutenant was interesting, but that's effectively trading the Lieutenant for Domri, which is not too outlandish of a proposition. You still like trade a card for a card if he chooses to eat your creature. So the attack is not, you know, like fundamentally flawed or anything.
No, 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 I wasn't saying that.
Pale Collector already 3-3.
Mm-hmm.
With the help of Rona's Gelta or Ferox is gonna grow into a 4-4, which is starts to become a through huge size.
There is a lightning strike to stop that.
Mm-hmm. Lightning
Just
strike.
the question is whether Marcin will have enough time to take time off, you know, just not spend this 2 mana, hold it up, and take the Pelt Collector out.
Well, he probably needs to do it now, then. I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
He's counting power and mana for Gelta purposes, probably. Stepping 3 mana. What is he gonna summon? Adapting the Growth Tremor. He might also just want to use Domri.
Mm-hmm.
Use Domri's fight ability ASAP. Trying to get rid of a monster while he can. I think that's also a reasonable proposition.
That will take Domri off the board.
Yes, but they're kind of expected to like die in combat
Mm-hmm.
relatively soon, since your board position is not weak, not strong enough to defend it forever.
Mm-hmm. So let's see if that happens.
He gets to attack with the Growth Tremor Guardian if he wants to. It's not perfect though. Machi could double block, but okay, so he's actually playing a land using the Domri mana to lightning strike down the creature. So
Staying on defense.
Yeah, he just wanted to adapt Growth Tremor Guardian at sorcerer speed to play around potential instant speed removal, of which Maciej is not playing many. In fact, just almost none at all. One copy of Fresh Threat. One copy of Fight with Fire in the main deck. An uncommon choice. And this time it's actually an uncommon card as opposed to Siege Gang Commander. And 3 copies of Domri Anarchopolas, which also serve as point removal for Machi. Gonna play lowly Lanor Elf.
And pass the turn.
Pass the turn, so probably not much action in Machi's hand, huh? The Mulligan to 5 kind of stops smattering at this point, given that Marcin is going to be able to get some card advantage from Domri. Even if Maciej is flooded, once he gets to his 6th land, Thorn Lieutenant essentially becomes a big blocker. So
A 6/7, so
yeah,
that's a really sizable one.
Maciej is holding 2 lands, a mountain and an unclaimed territory. The Growth Tremor Guardian is a 5/4, so you cannot block it nicely. You need to double block it with your 2 drops, but then both of them would die. That's definitely not what you want to see.
Instead, he goes to 11.
Yeah, Maciej actually needs to draw something. A Ronas, a Ferox, a Carnage Tyrant, a Steel Leaf Champion. Steel Leaf Champion not as much because it trades for Growth Chamber Guardian, but
Another Growth Chamber Guardian joins the fray. And let's see what Domri does. Marcin still has an activation left.
indeed.
I would imagine he would target... Do you give Maciej the token and just take the Thorn's End off the board?
It is tempting, because otherwise the creature stays on the board and it can actually start growing and be problematic. It is also reasonable to fight with Crawl Harpooner.
Now,
So like, there are less bodies.
now the Thorn's End is at 6 mana. Now it's...
Yes, I didn't see what did Maciej draw.
There is a Montagna, for sure.
Yeah, Montagna is a known one to me, but believe it's a spell. Maybe it was another Montagna.
Thorn Lieutenant going after Domri.
Mm. Either killing the Domri or forcing a charm block from the Grove Chimera Guardian. At this point I will be inclined to just let go of Domri.
It hurts, but Domri has done his job.
Oh, he has a
5
creature.
mana.
Ooh, it was actually Ronas, it was not a land, so... Well, that's pretty huge, because this is going to block those... Grove Chimera
Chambers.
Guardians really well. So, really nice play by Machi, like, yeah, you know, like... You could be incentivized to just play Ronas pre-combat to give your creature a vigilance and double its power, but then you are pretty heavily incentivizing Marcin to trade for the Thorn Lieutenant.
Guess what? Marcin has another copy of Domri.
Does he?
Yep.
No, I see a forest, and the last card should be a Grove Chimera Guardian.
I'm pretty sure there was a copy of Domri there.
Oh, he has 3 cards. Okay. True, other copy of them. It's not, you know, that effective against Ronas. It helps because now the Grove Chimera Guardians are 5 power, which means that they can brawl with Ronas, at least to an extent. Killing off Ronas assures that Machi is going to draw a relevant spell in the next 3 turns, though, because as God Eternal Ronas dies, it's going to just get shuffled back into... not shuffled back, put as the 3rd card into Machi's deck. And Marcin does not have such flood assurance, so it's an interesting one.
I would be pretty much tempted to just jam everything. Machi is at 11 life, you're presenting 12 damage.
Yeah, you could attack with the Llanowar, but then... Yeah, I guess I could see attacking with the Llanowar, but...
Still, Marcin punches 6 damage through.
Yep. Trades for the God Eternal Ronas.
And Domri is still available for use.
Indeed, it can fight with a monster. It's probably pretty desirable for Marcin to get rid of that Thorn Lieutenant, because then if Machi blanks, his draw is kinda poor. Like if Machi blanks, if it doesn't draw like a Nullhide Ferox or a similar one, then similar card, then he can definitely die to those Grove Chimera Guardians.
I think that was a spell in the sense, or an unclaimed territory.
No, there's an unclaimed territory.
Okay.
Did not get to see what was the draw for Machi. He really needs a spell, and preferably a good one. Something like a Nullhide Ferox to be able to block those 5/4 Guardians indefinitely. It is a 2-drop Crawl Harpooner. So while it's not empty, it's also not too good. The top card is unknown, the card underneath that is God Eternal Ronas. Marcin is thinking about whether to activate his Grove Chimera Guardian in his upkeep to make himself not draw the 4th copy. Most likely he's going to do that anyways. Choosing to draw first though, because it can be Siege Gang commander, and then you probably want to play the Siege Gang.
Martin is lining up the blocks and attacks, trying to figure out how this combat step will...
unravel.
Thank you. We don't know what he drew. He took his chance. So 2 Grove Chamber Guardians are coming in, presenting lethal damage. Maciej has some blocks.
Yeah, you can line up a double block on one of the Grove Chamber Guardians and a charm block on the other one. The Llanowar Elf is still consistently staying in line. I think actually it maybe should have attacked this turn.
Yeah, I would be tempted to just... It's 2 power, so...
Seems like, you know, Maciej is at 6, so you cannot really trade elves, so... Well, I guess you can,
And this is a pretty good situation for Marcin as well, since when Ronas comes back, and we know it will, there are no creatures to actually pump. So it will enter the battlefield that's empty.
Yeah, that's like barely important. You know, the problem is that for sure Marcin is going to draw a creature, the Grove Chamber Guardian.
Yep.
And seems like he drew something else. He's trying to play
A Ripjaw Raptor.
a pretty powerful one. And Maciej just draws the god, and that's not enough to block all of the monsters that Marcin played. So Marcin wins
Game 1.
Yeah, game 1, thanks to Grove Chamber Guardian recouping his mulligan to 5. Also, Domri being super important here, allowing for multiple attacks that were much better because the Grove Chamber Guardians were 5 force over just 4 force. So, well played by Marcin. It was pretty nice to watch because it was a pretty tightly navigated matchup.
Definitely not an easy game. Was not just turn my idiots sideways. Okay, so now to the sideboards. 1 mobilized district for Marcin, 1 sorceress spyglass, 2 Direfleet Daredevils. I don't think the first 2 are coming in. Direfleet Daredevil. Well, you are playing against the Nullhide Ferox deck. How many non-creature spells do you expect? I don't think these are too good. 2 Thrashing Brontodons. Decent blockers, but not many targets beside that. Collision Colossus.
Does not sound too interesting
Yeah.
to me.
2 Vivian Reed. If the matchup goes grindy, you can sort of utilize it to...
Yeah, Vivian Reed as a card draw spell in this matchup might be interesting. If you overload on those, and if you draw too many of those while you draw too few creatures, then she's just gonna die to an attack. But if the board happens to stall, which did in this game, mostly like because Maciej ended up not drawing that many spells, kind of flooding out, while Marcin had enough Grove Chamber Guardians to close the game out before Maciej draws any of his Nullhide Ferox or similar. You know, if the game turns into a board stall, then Vivian is great. Both players have access to Vivian Reed because Maciej also is boarding this lady in. Other options for Maciej are Lava Coils, 4 copies of that.
Yeah, Marcin also has Lava Coils, 3 copies here, and a Shivan Fire. Might be relevant. But you know what helps in board stall? Living Twister.
Living Twister, yeah, it is a card that is helpful going long, so probably going to be added, if only like on the basis of it being 5 toughness too. On the second thought, the 5 toughness does not match up that well against that many cards in Maciej's deck. Both Null Height Ferox and
Steelix Champion
Steelix
don't
Champion attack through it with impunity.
care. And Steelix Champion, I mean, Living Twister cannot block Steelix Champion.
It is true, which is why it attacks with impunity. This game one took a while. The intricate battle of Gruul Mines.
A lot of shuffling going on. Perhaps it is the final game.
Yeah, had I been a user of the Twitch chat, I would have been posting a Resident Sleeper emote right now. Given that I'm not one, I'm just, you know, commentating over the match, but...
With Resident Sleeper, yeah. The viewers who were here yesterday should know that this is just how Marcin plays.
You know, the match is also pretty high stakes, like both of those players
it is.
probably really want to get that invite to Barcelona. This is both a nice place and it's pretty cool to play in those Mythic Championship tournaments, and both of them already got a taste of those in the past, so they probably, you know, would want to qualify.
Yes.
So they are trying their best. That includes trying their best to randomize their libraries before presenting them to each other.
Marcin, please.
Assuming that Maciej is going to choose to be on the play, it does not seem like this matchup favors the person that chooses to be on the draw in any real capacity.
I don't know if any standard deck at all wants to be on the draw right now.
Well, in the as per control mirror, you could argue for that, but it's kind of rough.
So Marcin taking 2 damage to deploy at turn 1 Llanowar Elf. Most notably, both players keeping 7 card hands.
Yep.
Unclaimed territory, I believe it's gonna name...
Elf is the most common creature type in the deck, and one that you can use to cast Steelix Champion. The rest of the cards you can still cast even if... Yep, it's Elf. The rest of the creatures in your deck you can cast still with a Gruul Guildgate, so like you mostly care about Steelix Champion.
At the Grove Chamber Guardian, it's Elf Crab Warrior or something.
Indeed, that is the type line of this monster.
So what is the play? Marcin weighing his options very heavily. We cannot see the makeup of his hand. We see there is a Montagna.
Yeah, I see more a Zendikar Montagna.
Marcin showing a sign of weakness, playing full art Zendikar lands.
You think it's a sign of weakness?
Yes.
I think it's not a sign of many things at all. Although, maybe I'm the one who's confused.
Real Strength is playing all mismatched.
He probably had a free job to play, given that he thought about which one to deploy. Ended up going with Llanowar Elf as the first, like to develop his mana first.
Only a tapped land for Maciej.
Ooh, Maciej drawing to Grove Tremor Guardian, that is always pretty lame and non-desirable. The fact that he just played a Rootbound Crack points towards no basic lands, no Stomping Grounds in his hand. Or maybe there's nothing good to play.
There is a Living Twister in Marcin's hand that will square up pretty well against both these Grove Chamber Guardians. There was also Shock, so he can take one of them out right now if he wants to. Thorn Lieutenant offering a trade if you...
No, that's a tricky trade because
Yeah.
Marcin would actually cast a Shock and turn that trade into a non-trade.
Yes.
Goes with a 4-drop, that's a Ripjaw Raptor.
It's a good one.
Yeah, Maciej really would need to deploy a
Nullhide Ferox.
powerful monster here. Nullhide Ferox would be great. Something like Steel Leaf Champion would be fine. Some other cards would be less fine. Even Domri fighting with an elf would be potentially good, given that Marcin has missed his land drop.
He did. There is a Lava Coil for sure. There is a Living Twister for sure in his hand. A Shock. So I think we might have one unknown in Marcin's hand. Maciej is keeping his hand mostly on the table, analyzing the battlefield.
The most important part of the battlefield is the battlefield.
Is it?
Seems like there's no easy play for Maciej, like something like a Nullhide Ferox, so he goes with a Domri, and then he's going to fight Grove Tremor Guardian on the Llanowar Elf, though. That's the play that...
to cut off mana.
Yep. Unfortunately, Domri is going to die to the monster so I can get back, but you traded a card for a card, and it still is going to soak in some damages. At least to the... Ripjaw Raptor does not really need to attack Domri.
Marcin peeled off a land.
Oh, that's good, that's good.
Might be another copy of Thorn Lieutenant in Marcin's hand.
Not the perfect card to
No.
prioritize here. In this intricate battle of the Cruel Minds.
A Shock will take care of one of the Grove Chamber Guardians.
Yep.
There is a Resonant Sleeper emote on screen now. So yeah, the pace of play has been grueling, but the thing about what...
Grueling.
So, the thing about Marcin's turns, he takes a lot of time to think them over. But once he has a plan, he executes it in a couple of seconds. So
Indeed. He analyzes the scenario, then thinks of the line that he wants to partake, and then performs it. So
I think
he went
drew
for
a Domri.
Yeah, he went for the highest tempo play, and Domri is going to be lights out here. He's going to fight with the Gruul Spellbreaker. He's going to draw a card, and Marcin is going to be able to hit Maciej for 5.
8, 10.
Yeah.
Or he can also play another monster
Can he?
with Deathland.
Yep. It's 8. Maciej falls to 4, and I believe there's basically no outs for Maciej. He draws on top and extends the hand, and Maciej
Marcin
Staciva qualifies for the Mythic Championship Barcelona. Maciej reveals his two null-height Ferox that I was suspecting are going to be useful for him, making him a favorite to win this match, but not if you're unable to cast them. And both players playing well, trying to utilize their resources to the maximum. Marcin allowed to Marcin's card allowed to push and push enough damage through before Maciej was able to set up defenses with his slightly larger monsters both games. So congrats to Marcin Staciva again.
Yes, congrats to all our top 8 competitors. They have beaten a field of 131 other magicians to get to this top 8. So Marcin is going back on the Pro Tour with, he won it with this Gruul deck. Now he needs to decide what he's going to play at the modern portion of the tournament. The other one is Modern Horizons Limited, I think, in Barcelona.
Yes, it's Modern Horizons Draft plus Modern.
So that is going to be quite interesting. We will see if Marcin wants to take a break or have a chat with us. And if he doesn't, then we will just sign off and say goodbye to you. If he does, we will still come back to have a few words. So thank you for joining us.
Czyli jednak zakażenie dopadło wielkie stwory i małe stwory się przejechały. Ale to jest słabe. Niedźwiedź przestał jeździć na protury, to ja zacząłem. U nas wcześniej zawsze jest tak, że albo jeden, jak ja jeździłem, to on nie jeździł. Jak potem ja przestałem jeździć, to on zaczął jeździć, to teraz on przestał, to ja.
All right, we are here. We are here with the winner of the today's tournament, Marcin Staciva.
Power!
Gruul.
Gruul power!
Gruul Power, okay. What made you choose this deck list? What made it
Because
smash?
it's insane. It's basically insane. Yesterday I had also very good result, right? So today I went 9-0. Yesterday I went 6-1. So, yeah.
Yeah, the deck seems pretty strong.
It's insane. It's just insane. I mean, that's...
Were you afraid of any matchups coming into this one?
I was actually afraid of the final matchup because he has so many big creatures like Null-Height Ferox. And this guy is hard to go through. But, I mean, I can always win with a fast draw. But if I don't have a fast draw, I would... Did you see I mulligan to 5 game 1?
Yep.
And I would tell you my opener on the play, which I mulligan, which many of you wouldn't, which was 3 lands, 2 red, 1 green, Warboss, Big Domri, 2 Siege Gang. and I'm Mulligan's to play.
Yeah, because you want to be fast
Yeah,
on the board.
yeah, exactly. I mean, and I would lose with this 7, and then I kept 5, and the 5 was wonderful. I had Guardian, which I was really hoping to draw on 5 cards. He didn't have an answer for Guardian, and Guardian just,
Delivered.
destroyed him. Yeah.
It delivered.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So I'm not going to keep you here for very long. So this is another Pro Tour under your belt.
Yeah.
So how many have you played to this day?
I think 4 and 1 WMC.
Yeah. All right. So 4 Pro Tours, World Magic Cup. So this time you are going to play Modern. Do you have
No, I didn't know.
You are going to play Modern and the draft, and the draft is Modern Horizons Limited.
No. Okay, funny story. The first Pro Tour I went into was actually Modern Pro Tour, and it was also in Spain. And it was the first time I played the format. And now I feel like I didn't play Modern at all for a long time, and I will feel like the same.
But he went 9-7 on that Pro Tour without knowing the format. He's a really good player.
Yeah, it was other. I mean, I was lucky.
Yeah, and also then again, at the other Modern Pro Tour he played, he chose Tron in the Eldrazi winter time. So
Yeah. It was. I mean, I played 2 times Modern Pro Tour, and I 2 times played with Tron, and I Day2'd both of them, so that was.
So he played Tron. He is still an animal, a beast.
Yeah,
So
and I will play Tron
congratulations.
probably in this Pro.
Yeah. So congratulations. Don't mark your sleeves, and see you
Yeah, thanks.
on camera.
Yeah.
Okay, and thank you all for joining us. My name's been Piotr Bomak. I've been joined here by Piotr Kanister-Głogowski.
And I'm
Huge,
Marcin.
And he's Marcin. He's the winner. All the glory goes to him today. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you to our sponsors, so Card Market, Ultimate Guard, Okie Dokie Dice, SPC Gear, MTG Spot, Hrum.com, Hobbity.eu, Psychotalk.pl, Świat Kawy i Herbaty. Thank you all very much, and see you on next Paprika's Open.
See ya.